Hey everybody, happy October, so excited. Vlog number 4. So let me start out with some news, then we'll get down to it. First off, shout out. KB Miller, I love you. Let's just put that out there right now. I love you. She mentioned me on the traveling vlog this last week. I think it was like traveling vlog number 11. I so appreciate it, honey. And you had a wicked better backdrop with a thunderstorm than I do with the woods behind my house. Thank you, honey. I love you. You're so sweet. I'm serious. She's been so supportive to me, and I can't tell you as an author starting out how much that really does mean to me. So thank you. Mwah. Another shout out to R&M. I have my paper in front of me. That's why I keep looking down. Sorry. To R&M Fab Book Reviews. Not only did they read my book, which I really appreciate, they actually enjoyed it. Also very cool. But they are doing this month, for the month of October, the Halloween Spooktacular. Just kicked off yesterday. It's 31 days in the month, 31 authors. There's raffle copters, there's daily giveaways, there's contests. It's so cool. Definitely check out their Facebook page, R&M Fab Book Reviews. There'll be a link to the event there. Get involved in this. There are some fantastic authors that you may never have heard of that you need to check out. And then, of course, there's always a chance to win stuff, which, again, another cool thing. And the ladies over there, Ruthie, Marianne, you guys are awesome. Seriously, another awesome. I've met more awesome people on Facebook than I can shake a stick at, which I'm not going to shake a stick at any of you because I know my luck. It would fly out of my hand. Someone would lose an eye. It would be bad. But anyway, so definitely check out the Spooktacular. So cool. And I'm very honored to be one of the 31 authors that are going to be part of that this month. I think I'm on Saturday, October 6th, I think. But tune in every day. Seriously. Phoenix Burning, book 2 in my series, is out in 2 days, this Thursday. The Firefly and Wisp, my publishers, is doing an online, the Facebook party. That's from, I believe it's 9 to 11, which I know is kind of hinky. I have kids too, with it being a school night. If you get a chance to even pop in for just a couple minutes, that would be awesome, and I'd really appreciate it. I've got a contest going on for that, for the party. When Book 1 came out, Phoenix Rising, I tried to do something, a giveaway ahead of time besides just the caption contest and stuff, which are cool. Trust me, they are awesome. So this time I went with a fantasy cast video. So let me tell you a little bit about that. I think when everybody reads, at least when I read, and I know most people I've talked to, it's the same thing. When you're reading and you read a character, you kind of picture somebody in it. I think our society, because we're so visually oriented, that's what happens. But I think that's cool, too. Personally, Ian Somerhalder, 50 Shades of Grey. I'm just saying. Make that happen. I digress. Again, I know. Shocked. So anyway, it's a fantasy cast video, and what I want you to do, if you go to the party event page for Phoenix Burning, the picture is the cover of book 2. So for your fantasy cast, you have to include the book cover, and Maggie, Michelle, Luke, and Liam, her grandfather, in there. Any other extra characters is gravy, and I think that's awesome. But definitely those 4 and the cover. I'm not worried about it being, all special effects and explosions and all that. Come on, I'm lucky that I managed to upload a vlog. Let's be honest here. And if you don't know how to make the videos, that's okay, because there's other ways to win swag and to win prizes at the contest. The winner of that will be judged. I have 3 buddies of mine that are going to look at it, look at the videos. I think there's 3 of them up there now. By all means, go look, if you like them. But we'll be looking at the winners going to get their choice of one of the t-shirts from the Phoenix Burning, which I really, really dig them, and a mug for your coffee, your cocoa, your tea, to hide your booze when you don't want anybody to know that you really need that whiskey in the morning. Which, not judging, just saying. So, yeah. So that's going to be the big prize, I guess you'd call it, for this party. And I also have my own fantasy cast. I'm not saying that, make my book a movie or anything. That would be cool. But the people that I sort of picture, the best way visually to show you my characters. So I'll be throwing that together, and I'll be posting mine then. So yeah, if you decide you want to make one of those, if you could post it by like 8:30 on Thursday, that would be awesome. Cool. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so yesterday on my Facebook page, I put a thing out there thinking, yeah, no, there's no way I'm going to get 25. But it was, hey, if I could get 25 likes, I'll read the prologue in Chapter 1 for Book 2, for Phoenix Burning. I got 29 likes. Didn't expect that. That's pretty cool. So now, yeah, I have it here. I printed out the prologue and the first chapter, and I will read them to you. Now, I think I said last week in the vlog, or in the last vlog, I did Phoenix Burning a little bit differently. I wrote it a little bit differently because I wanted to give a little insight into what another character was thinking and feeling, and that character is Luke. So in Phoenix Burning, it's told from Maggie's point of view, with the exception if the point of view is changed, like for Luke. Like the prologue is done in Luke's point of view. So I actually, put the character's name there, probably like in italics or something, I think, by the time it gets formatted. So you'll see it shift every now and then. I hope it's not too confusing. After the book comes out and people read it, let me know if it doesn't work. I just want to try something different to give a little more insight into the different characters. So I will take a sip of my coffee. Pumpkin spice coffee with a pumpkin spice creamer, because pumpkin is good. And it's full of like antioxidants or vitamin C or seeds. Good stuff. Anyway, so now, with no further ado, I shall read you the prologue and Chapter 1 of Phoenix Burning, and I hope that you like it. I'm not a big read-aloud kind of girl, but I'm going to do this for you guys, because you guys are awesome. Seriously, pat yourselves on the back. Are you done? Awesome. Okay, so, Phoenix Burning. You're going to see me looking down, because obviously I'm reading. Prologue, Luke. I remember reading somewhere, maybe in one of those human newspapers Liam is so fond of, that a race of ancient mortals predicted the end of their known existence in the year 2012. A previous calendar or some such device ran out near the mortals' Yule celebrations. A few determined souls had begun to stockpile supplies, canned meats, jugs of water. Some fools even began acquiring pure silver items, like eating utensils and random jewelry, in hopes of using the items as fodder for trade when the end of days came to pass. As if anyone actually expected to trade something as vital as a fresh orange for a fancy gravy ladle. Pundits of the upcoming apocalypse urged folks that the end is near, prompting religious fanatics to flock to their respective places of worship, and the less than devout to join the closest and most appealing congregation. I knew, of course, that the Mayans had it wrong. Just like the so-called prophets before them, the date, time, and place, it was all wrong. At least for me. My world ended just over a month ago in a little town in upstate New York when I received a call from my brother Michelle asking me to meet him on a nameless stretch of wooded road. Bring weapons, he told me, and hurry. Normally, I might have ignored my brother's plea for help. Michelle was a brilliant soldier, adept with his sword, and he had an innate sense for predicting his opponent's moves, parrying each in a gentle dance that was deceitful to his enemy, letting them think he'd tired or was unaware, before striking a killing blow. This was different, however. The tone, the almost begging in his short four-word demand, piqued my curiosity. Complying, I followed the energy that Michelle had left behind, using it as a tracer to his location, finding him walking toward a car parked on the side of the road. His motorcycle, I noticed via the moonlight glistening off the handlebars, was somewhat hidden in the trees. I heard the growl as Michelle ripped the driver's door off the car and pulled something from inside, throwing it into the road behind him. Revenant. My curiosity momentarily quaffed. I drew one of my katanas as the skeletal creature rose. As if sensing its doom, the creature turned and faced me. Smiling through the rotted flesh of its face and baring yellow teeth, the Revenant's glowing eyes focused on me. Malice wafted from the creature as it came toward me. From my peripheral, I saw my brother, the driver's door still in his hands, leaning into the car. The Revenant swiped at me, ripping my sleeve. A thin trickle of blood oozed from the fresh wound. That was my favorite leather jacket. Raising my weapon, I danced the blade over the boned and almost fleshless arm crashing at me. I fell to a knee, momentarily stunned, but it was enough. The Revenant had turned toward the vehicle as Michelle crawled into the driver's side. "Hey!" I yelled, drawing its attention and giving my brother time to put the car in gear and speed off. I jumped to my feet and ran the few short steps to my motorcycle, kicking it to life. With a huff of disappointment, I spun the tires and made my way into the forest, begging the creature to follow. Now, you must bear in mind, I did not drive some motorcycle. This crotch rocket is a Ducati Street Fighter. To say my bike was not built for traipsing through the forest would be a gross understatement, as well as an insult to the motorcycle. As the street race competition traction, but as I was traveling a road paved in leaves and pine needles and not the hot asphalt that gave off its pleasant aroma on a hot day, I adjusted the traction control level accordingly. The Revenant was losing ground behind me, but I didn't give it the opportunity to reclaim its position. Throttling further and spinning the wheels, I raced even faster through the tall oaks and spruces that framed the non-existent trail. The creature giving chase became smaller and smaller in my mirrors, until eventually it was removed from my sight completely. You can imagine my displeasure when I was forced to lay on my brakes and slide to the right to avoid a group of revenants that had sprung up in my path. My bike stopped abruptly, throwing me off. I landed on my feet and quickly pushed my baby into the patch of thickets. 1+ for the good guys. Revenants aren't very intelligent. I watched as one of the cowled figures with the glowing yellow eyes approached me. I reached for my swords, but they were gone, thrown into the brush when my motorcycle had come to its sudden halt. Without the razor-sharp-edged weapons to use, I opted to go with my second deadliest weapon, my mouth. So, what the hell? I was just out for a little moonlight ride. You know, if you're going to be strolling in the woods after dark, you should seriously consider wearing a reflective vest. Maybe one of those glow sticks kids use when they trick-or-treat. The bony hands, not enjoying my taunts, grabbed hold of my collar. Even as I cursed and protested, my feet left the earth and I was airborne. I watched the trees fly past in reverse until coming to an unanticipated stop. I heard glass shatter around me, and my head hit something hard. The pain in my skull began immediately, and my vision blurred. Unable to prevent it, I let my eyes drift closed. I can't say exactly how long I lingered in the black of unconsciousness. I thought I felt something rummaging through my pockets, searching. Finally, it was confirmed when I heard the familiar jingling sound of my Ducati's keys. The next thing I heard, I was positive, was the voice of the angels coming to retrieve me. Is that a body? The sound of those words in other circumstances would be appalling. Now, a beautiful song that waltzed inside my ears. I tried to open my eyes and find what creature had sung those few words in a melody, but no matter how much I willed them to function, the lids were weighted down. A shriek rang out from somewhere, and I heard Michelle tell the voice to run. My instincts began to take over as I heard my brother and his companion's footsteps quicken on the pavement. With great effort, I was able to push my lids open and catch a quick glimpse of Michelle. He was throwing something over his shoulder as he ran away from what I assumed was the same revenant that had tossed me so handily through the forest. Its back was to me, so it failed to notice as I slipped off the hood of the car I'd landed on. I took a quick inventory of my surroundings and spied a shimmering just a few feet away. My katanas, sans their sheaths, lay atop a patch of wild raspberries. The hilts, custom molded to my hands to ensure a glove-like fit, rested gingerly in my palms as I stayed to the shadows while creeping closer to the monster. I heard the familiar purr of my Ducati and watched as Michelle pushed the bike onto the road. It was then, with only the moon as my light and my keen vampire vision, that I saw the female astride the motorcycle. She glanced at the revenant approaching them. Her hair was a mass of fiery tangles that flew out behind her, her face unmarred, other than a gash to her forehead. I found myself feeling sorry, hoping it wasn't my less than graceful landing on the windshield that had caused the wound. Odder yet was the unfamiliar sensation in my chest. I felt a strange, almost hollow feeling. I can't say that it hurt, but it was like nothing I'd felt before. Without thinking, I let my hand tap the spot under my ribs where the sensation had been, but as quickly as it had come, it was gone. I snuck up behind the revenant, but a stick cracked and rang into the night. The being turned, and its cold, glowing gaze landed on me. With a fluid movement, I raised my weapons to the air, crossed them over the revenant's head, and drew through the bones and rot. I held the thin swords out to my side as the creature's head lolled to the left before falling to the road with a thud. As the body crumpled, I caught a glimpse of Michelle, the female with him, and the solo tail light of the bike they sped away on. Thoughtlessly, I rubbed at the spot in my chest again, the strange sensation flickering once more before disappearing. I don't know if it was really the Mayans, or perhaps the Aztecs. Maybe it was Cleopatra's seers, or the 3 wise men who had ventured to a stable in Bethlehem. But whomever it had been that had predicted the eventual demise of the world, they were wrong. It was that night, on a lonely stretch of country road surrounded by towering trees and wildflowers, that my world, the one I'd always known, ended forever. Chapter 1. This is Maggie's point of view. Don't you think you should take a break to, I don't know, eat something? Maybe use the bathroom. Don't you half-mortals do that sort of thing? I raised my hands over my face. I'd been poring through my grandfather's tomes of information and histories for so long that even when I closed my eyes, the strange but now familiar letters that were the script of the realm danced across my lids. Half-mortal, I answered Sita. And yes, we do that sort of thing. But time isn't on our side. The angels are supposed to claim Michelle in little over 2 weeks, and we still haven't found anything useful. My fairy friend looked grim as she studied my expression. I waved her off. I know, but I can't give up until I've read over every page. I closed the heavy book I'd been studying and shoved it to the side, grabbing the next one in the stack. There has to be something here, something we've missed. We're just worried about you, Maggie, and I appreciate your concern, I answered, not looking up at her. Then why not? What? I shot back with more anger than I actually felt. It wasn't Sita's fault that Michelle was laying in the throne room of King Edwin's castle, his body waiting for angels to consume him and take him to the angel realm as a slave, per some ancient agreement between the vampires and their creators. Yeah, angels. The good guys. Whatever. I'll leave you to it then, the face stuttered, backing out of the room. Sita? I lifted my head to apologize, but the door to the library was already closing. I blew out a breath as I forced the chair backward and stood. Shit, I complained to no one, making my way to the oversized window that looked out to the garden. The night was clear and crisp, the first hint of fall just beginning to appear in the changing leaves. The moon shone brightly down on Liam's meticulously manicured flower beds. I realized the moon would be full soon, and I wondered how prepared Davis was for the oncoming change. Autumn, my friend and the resident witch, had researched different plants and spells that might help him with the painful effects his muscles and bones were sure to suffer when he transformed from his human body to that of the last remaining werewolf. Teasing, Sita would run around in the form which I had first come to know her by, my pet Siberian husky, letting her tongue hang loosely from her mouth. Then, just as quickly, she'd switch back to the fairy she really was. Autumn didn't find any humor in the Fae's antics, but Davis was good-natured about it. Autumn and Davis had become very close since he took up residence with us at the Trust. She was teaching him to read, and they'd graduated from early readers to Dr. Seuss. They spent many nights in the waning summer temperatures on the front porch. I heard them giggle from where I sat in the library shuffling through books, trying to find a way to bring Michelle back. A quick pang of jealousy shot through me at their happiness, and I felt the early warning heat of flames. Oh, stop it, I admonished myself, and the heat dissipated. Turning from the window, I glanced around the huge room. The hearth had a fire blazing and crackling. I wasn't sure who'd lit it, or even how long it had been burning, but it showed no signs of dying down. Finally, a break. A voice spoke softly from the doorway. Turning, I found my grandfather Liam entering the room and walking toward me. I nodded my head and walked toward the fireplace. I didn't mean to startle you, he offered in apology. You didn't, I answered without looking at him. Instead, I continued watching the orange flickering. Liam came to stand behind me and put his hands on my shoulders. I thought you knew a way to bring Michelle back. I know that it has been done before, Liam offered. There must be a record of it within one of these tomes. It's only a matter of finding it. And in the meantime, I whispered with frustration, I am sorry, Margaret. I shook my head, clearing my thoughts before facing him. I noticed he appeared to have had as much sleep as me in the last few days. I looked to my feet, feeling ashamed of myself for having taken such a negative tone of voice with him. I'm sorry. I know you said it'd be difficult, but I'd assumed that meant fighting revenants or some other terrible creature, not days and days spent searching through every handwritten book in this house. Liam managed a strained smile at my complaint. Every journey begins with a single step. Yeah, I rebut. And all mine seem to be taken between bookshelves. My grandfather chuckled, and I couldn't help but return the smile. You are a remarkable gift, Margaret. The answers are here. We just need to find them. But first, he lifted my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. You must eat. How long do you think you can continue on without nourishment? I'm not hungry. Then sleep. I opened my mouth to protest, but Liam took my lips in his fingers, pulling them shut. I couldn't help but look cross-eyed at his hold on me. My grandfather raised an eyebrow at my expression and smirked. I'm still your grandfather. Rest, even if only for an hour. Perhaps fresh eyes will offer clarity. Without giving me the chance to argue, Liam released my pursed lips and turned, walking to the doorway. Rest in here. I will let the others know you're napping. I shall return in a few hours with food, and together we will find the answer, he instructed me without looking back. Grandfather? I called to him. He paused and looked over his shoulder. Thanks. With a nod in return, he left, leaving the library door open just a crack. I walked around the room, realizing how stiff my muscles actually had become from sitting hunched over at the desk. I ran through my internal calendar, trying to determine what day it was. Hell, I didn't even know what hour it was. I'd been counting the passage of time via the sun shining in through the windows. Lost in thought, my foot stuck to the hardwood floor, and I tripped. Damn it, I murmured as a memory invaded my thoughts. Now, Maggie, I'll take that kiss. I bent my knees and put my palms against the wood floor. I'm not sure what I expected. Maybe some lingering heat where I'd lain with Michelle's body over mine, but the wood was cool under my hands. I knelt, running my hands over the smooth surface as the memory of that encounter flashed through my mind. As if it would somehow make the memory come alive again, I slowly lay down, my head against the panels and my back cracking as it straightened. I closed my eyes and tried to will that moment back to life. I wanted to feel Michelle's breathy words against my lips. Behind my eyelids, I searched for his emerald gaze looking back at me. I almost felt those loose strands of his jet-black hair with its shimmering blue highlights tickling my cheek. But it wasn't his hair. My tears, trickling down the side of my face, reminded me of the here and now and the task at hand. I need to find a way to bring him back. It was my fault he was gone. He'd sacrificed himself to save me from Osa when the Revenant leader was about to drain me dry in hopes of coming to full power. I'd knelt beside him as he drifted away. I'd watched his brother carry him off to the realm. Luke. I hadn't seen Michelle's brother since the day he'd left the trust, saying he was going in search of answers, to make a deal with the devil or whoever would listen. Another memory crept to mind. The kiss Luke had given me. I tried to shut off that memory, tried to stay focused on finding a way to save Michelle, but every now and again, the memory of Luke's eyes looking down into mine would make its way back. The coolness of his lips and the honesty of his words remained like a grass stain you scrubbed at but couldn't remove. Because, in spite of all that's happened, I can't help but be in love with you. I'd been hurting just as the vampire prince had. We were caught up in emotions when that kiss happened. It meant nothing at all to me, or to him. but that didn't quell the burning in my chest that would arise whenever I remembered his words. I willed the thought from my mind. It's not important. The only thing that matters is finding a way to bring Michelle back. Laying down on the job? A familiar voice questioned from just inside the doorway. Could have sworn I asked you to not do anything stupid. I jumped to my feet in a very ungraceful manner, catching the toe of one sneaker on the same spot that had caused my fall a little earlier. Just as I was mentally bracing myself for a faceplant, my body came to an abrupt halt. Luke had transported himself in time to catch me before I could fall. I found myself pressed tightly against his chest, with his gaze trained on mine. Luke, I whispered. It would seem that I made it back just in time. I thought you told me once that you had no need for a hero, he teased softly. Embarrassed, I pushed off his chest and righted myself, needlessly brushing his touch away. I'm fine. He snickered. Indeed, it would seem you have changed little in the time I've been gone. Luke stepped back and turned, making his way to the buffet table of decanters. I used the few moments while he opened and sniffed at the contents of one container to gather my thoughts. I took a deep breath, but it did nothing to calm me. Any luck? The vampire asked, his back to me. Not really, I struggled with the words. Liam says he's positive there's something in one of his zillion books that'll tell me what I have to do to get Michelle back. At the sound of his brother's name, Luke stiffened, but still didn't look at me. Liam would know, he answered, finally twisting his body toward mine. He swirled the contents of the crystal goblet expertly, as if it was a fine vintage of Chianti, rather than the blood of his creators, the angels. I nodded my head with effort and walked to the oversized desk, even as Luke flopped himself onto the chaise lounge, gulping back a large swallow of his beverage. I've looked through these, but I've had no luck with anything. It's just a bunch of tales regarding marriages and births, I explained. When Luke made no answer, I carefully glanced up at him from under my eyelashes. He still held on to the porcelain skin in midnight locks he'd had when I'd seen him last, but his face looked more worn, and the blue highlights in his tresses had dulled. I wasn't clear on where he'd gone, but it was obvious that wherever it had been, it had taken a toll on the vampire. Relax, Firebird, Luke spoke over his goblet. I'm tougher than I look. I was confused for a minute, and my expression must have shown it. Rather than explain his words, the vampire tapped his temple. I'd forgotten you guys can hear thoughts. I haven't had to worry about it since... I lost my voice. Since I wasn't here, Luke finished for me. But he knew. He could see the words in my eyes. Since Michelle had died. Right, I said, looking back to the volumes of realm histories that swarmed the desk as I mindlessly shuffled them around, making stacks of them. Right, he said softly. How about you? Any luck? Funny you should ask, came his reply as he rose to his feet and glared at the now empty goblet. I may actually have found something. I felt a spark of hope rise in my chest as I watched the prince refill his drink. That would be the end of chapter 1. And as you know, that's kind of how I tend to end chapters. So, yeah, oh wow, that took longer. I'm looking at the count and it's like almost 29 minutes. Holy moly, so sorry guys. And yeah, I know my phone went off like while I was reading, so I apologize for that too. I hope that you liked the prologue in the first chapter. Like I said, I'm not great at reading things aloud, so, because I have like the worst reading voice ever. Think that's bad? I should have sang the prologue. Wow, would you guys have like turned this video off like 15 minutes ago. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed it. The book is out on Thursday, so 2 more days. Getting excited. Really nervous too. It's difficult. The reviews that I've had have all been really, really, really good reviews. So I'm hoping the second book does not disappoint. And you'll learn in Phoenix Burning as they make their way to try and bring Michelle back that sometimes destiny, it has plans for us, and it doesn't matter what we think or what we presume to know. The only pain is in denying destiny. Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope to see you Thursday. Bye-bye.